My name is Tan Nguyen, and welcome to the session on synchronous learning. If you are watching this video, that means I'm having internet problems at home, and so the facilitator is playing a video so that you can still have access to the content and this learning experience. As we're waiting for more people to come online, I'd like for you to type in the chat box one success story that you've had recently. I will let the moderator pause the video, and the moderator will continue to ask people to do this as they join, and then you can narrate. A moderator, you can narrate what responses you are seeing. If you want access to the slides, you can go to this link, and you can have access to all the resources. We're going to answer 3 questions today in this session. What does the research say about students collaborating together? How it might work online on a virtual experience, and what it feels like. And I'll give you a demonstration of what that feels like. So, on the spectrum of distance learning, we have students who do not have Wi-Fi. They have no devices. Some have some Wi-Fi and some access to devices, but they might be sharing a device between family members. We also have students who have home-based Wi-Fi connections, Wi-Fi devices, and they have reliable access to devices. The equitable access would be right here. We're making sure that the majority of our work in distance learning is providing this kind of work. But there are some students who have access to Wi-Fi at home and have their own personal devices. So if they have this opportunity, we can see this as a way to differentiate the process of learning for kids, for these particular students. Now, of course, if kids don't have Wi-Fi access, I wouldn't recommend doing asynchronous learning. But of course, for those who do, let's give them that opportunity. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you 4 quotes about collaboration. It's not about virtual collaboration, but it's about collaboration in general. And at the end of me sharing these 4 quotes, you're going to go into the chat room and to talk about which one did you think resonated with you the most. I'm going to read it to you so that we can create a culture around the quotes. Information can be accumulated, but knowledge and understanding are only generated by working with information, selecting from it, organizing it, arguing for its relevance. Talk, like reading and writing, is a major motor. I could even say the motor of intellectual development. The person doing the talking is doing the thinking, and the person doing the thinking is doing the learning. Reading and writing float on a sea of talk. All these quotes are connected to student collaboration or just collaboration in general. Which one do you resonate with the most? I'd like to have the moderator now pause the video and have you go into breakout groups and to discuss for 2 minutes, and then we'll have you come back. I think the research around cooperative learning is pretty compelling. Fisher, Frey, and Hattie said that when we structure learning to be collaborative and cooperative, it produces more than 1 year of growth in 1 year of learning. So this is what it looked like in my class before COVID-19. Students working together, students collaborating, students talking. Now, but when I started, and when I went into distance learning with my students in February of 2020, it looked more like this. I was disseminating information instead of having kids collaborate. This was my first 8 weeks of virtual learning. I created the videos, then I published them on YouTube. Students watched them at home, and then they completed them individually. I checked the work, I chased down kids who didn't do the work, and we repeated this until both me and the students were emotionally exhausted. And that's why we didn't like the experience. Until week 9, or at the end of week 8, I heard a podcast on brainwaves with Kathleen Tucker. And she said, hey, you know what? let's think about it in a different way. Let's try not to disseminate information and let's structure student collaboration. That changed everything from because I realized what I was doing was doing this. I had kids on a laptop working by themselves, just like the way we've moved away from this form of teaching already. But yet, in my virtual experience, I was going back to it. At the end of 8 weeks, I gave my kids a survey and I asked them, hey, what was your virtual experience like in my class? And one student said, I first thought that virtual school was fun. However, it wasn't. I needed to do everything by myself. It is very difficult, but I thought that I had a great lesson. So initially, many of my students thought it was fun too. But then you realize, oh, it's me working by myself. So it was difficult and it wasn't really that fun. I often use this analogy when I help teachers think about, okay, I'm going to share with you the principles, but the strategies have to be more relevant to you. So the principles behind a McCafe and a Starbucks coffee are the same. The principles are the same. The audience are different though. So they tailor their products to a different audience. The same thing. You're going to have to tailor your audience. You're going to have to tailor the strategies that I suggest to your audience. The principle is that we want to facilitate student collaboration online. But the strategy is that the audience is different because my kids have technology and some of your kids might. So let me show you first how I structured my virtual school. This video will show you how I do it. I basically create little groups for my students to join, and then they join in. They'll have a little video here, and then the video will show them what to do. But this is my welcome video when they have already gone into the welcome to their rooms. Welcome to Thursday, April 23rd's class. You will stay in your group just like before, a few more days, and then we'll change. This is the work today. We'll be doing a puzzle with gravity. On Monday, we'll be reading in class together. Wednesday, we'll be co-writing. And Thursday, Friday of next week, you'll have off. The goal for today is that before I get to this lesson, I'm gonna just wanted to show you what you did yesterday. The boys wanted to say hi, and so we took a little recording and I would say hi to them. And Benson's face is not showing, but this is his dog because we're not allowed to show his face. But it's great for them to say hi, just like you said hi to them, girls. I just wanted to show you the work that you did yesterday. I really appreciate the collaboration. You had new partners, yet you figured out a way to work together. You listened to each other, and you could contribute it, and you participated. That's what we're looking for. The goal is that you learn how to work with people who you're not familiar with, not just your friends. This is the work that you did yesterday. This is from Tom and Hung, Simon and Jihu, Benson and Jik, Ethan and James. And this one comes from Momo and Kimi. I just wanted to show you that they figured out that goes is for he, she, it, and go is I, you, they. It's just really simple and clear. One sentence that I particularly like that they wrote was, orbits help the planets stay in place. Without it, planets go out. It's planet because there's more than one planet, so it's go. Right? If the planet goes around the sun, then that's different. But the planets go out of their orbit. It's really connected to the science words. So today we did the grammar already, so we're gonna work on Edpuzzle today. Your goal was today is we can describe what gravity is by using such words as mass, pull, exert, and distance. You're gonna do it on Edpuzzle. Have a great day, share your screens, bye. Now, after they watch the welcome video, they're engaging in the activity. I want you to watch this lesson and I want you to watch what the students are doing. They've already watched my pre-recorded video and now they're actually engaging with a task on Edpuzzle.
Just wait, gravity holds the small particles together to make a clump. A big clump? No. Yeah, not like a clump. It's a clump. Kind of makes one to make it one whole big thing. Okay, so we write gravity. Do gravity first. Holds pulls the small particles. Small. Wait, but we need to be specific. What small particles? Rocks. No, I don't know. Wait. Let watch it again.
Clumps. Biggest was in the center, and everything else began to spin around it. Immense gravitational pressure built up at the core of this gigantic clump.
Wait, I think it's rocks.
Stuff together into clumps.
I think it's just rocks. A lot of stuff. It's just like stuff. Yeah.
The biggest
was like small particles.
Everything else began to spin around it.
Like,
immense gravitational pressure built up at the core of this gigantic clump. Atoms began fusing together in a nuclear reaction that continues to this.
Now, these two girls are still working together, and then they're engaging in another task on another day, and watch how they're collaborating with each other.
What? Sorry. They don't go fly off. No, that's just until they don't fly off. Like when go out, like go around, like go like somewhere out in the orbit, like whatever like fly off somewhere else. Fly off. Fly off. Yeah, so they don't fly off in space. Okay. No, in space. Okay. No, actually that's good. That's good. Yeah. Okay, now wait, check the list again. Okay, orbits, gravity, planet, gas, stars. That's just stars. Okay. Wait, what do we need stars again? Stars. What? There's like 100 billion stars. I don't get why there's stars. Do you know why? Do you have a prediction why we need stars? Wait. Kind of hard. What do you think? Like, I'm thinking, people say that stars are really important, but I still don't know why. Yeah.
I also have synchronous reading experiences for kids. Just like I have independent reading at school, my students weren't really reading, and so I said, okay, well, why don't we just come online, and one of our classes can be just a full period of independent reading, and I'll have conferences just like what I do with my students in person. I'll have conferences with students. Okay, as you read, I'm going to call one person by a time to go to group 1 to have a conference with me. Okay. Jig, can you join me in group 1 so we can have a conference? Thanks. Now, many of you have Zoom, so you're able to create the Zoom breakout rooms. And for those who don't, let me show you how I created my own version of breakout rooms using Google Meet. Hi, a lot of people asked how I created this. I just wanted to show you my method. What I did was I created all the groups that were going to be attending that day once, and this was on April 6th. So I go to, let's say that I'm going to take this group here. So I made a Google Meet invite with kids, and then what I did was I just copied it. I went to group 1, Command K, and then I pasted it. Now it's linked. So now I just kept doing that with the other groups. If you have 4 groups, 5 groups you'll meet, you'll need 5 groups here. And if you need the same things here for the girls. By the way, my kids are separated by genders because they've asked for that, because they prefer to participate that way, because I did a survey and they said, I want this. We prefer this. I said, okay, as long as you participate. So let me show you what would happen when kids come to me on the day. Let's say that this is the group. I have this open, and then I share my screen with the kids. So I'll share my entire screen. So when kids pop on, they'll see me here at my face, but they'll also see this. What I'll do is I'll just say, hi, Jihu. Hi, Benson. Hi, Hung. And as I talk to them and see how they're doing. Then let's say that Hung and Ji are here, and I say, Hung, Ji, I want you to go to watch the welcome video in group 4. And then remember to share your screen and also to say hi, goodbye to each other. And then they go, and then I do the same thing with the other kids. If they're all here at the same time, I just say, all right, please go to your individual groups and I'll see you there. And then what I'll do is I'll go to group one on my iPad, and then I will click on these links to just check on kids. But group one is where kids come to meet me for support if they need. Hope this helps. What's important is not the platform. What's more important is the principle behind trying to create groups of kids working together. So I'm not saying you have to create synchronous learning opportunities, but I'm saying how can we create more space for synchronous learning for those kids that have that opportunity to do that? Because again, when we can do that, we are providing a form of differentiation for kids. We're differentiating the process for them. These are questions I want you to think about. How can it or synchronous learning be done once a week? How can it be done for part of the class? How can it be done for one subject? Or can it be done for one assignment? How can it be organized by students themselves if they're old enough to do that? And how can it be done in short bursts for kids? Lastly, how can it be done during office hours? Here's a learning experience for you. I'm going to have you go into breakout groups. The moderator will go and put you into breakout groups in a second. You're going to have about 6 minutes to talk. And first, introduce yourself. Say where you're coming from, what school district you're working at, what context you're working at, what grade level. And then answer this question together. How can you incorporate synchronous learning in your own context? So I give you my Starbucks version. Now this is you thinking about the Starbucks version of your own for your own kids. When you are working together, when you have ideas, I want you to contribute to this exit ticket. You'll see it here and linked. You can just contribute your ideas to how can you make this fit in your context. Moderator, please pause the video now and then break the participants into breakout groups for about 6 to 8 minutes. During this time, moderator, you can go into the exit ticket and view what people what people are writing and what they're contributing to the conversation. And when you come back to the whole group session, you can highlight a few that you thought was, oh, well, I want to focus on this more. So after about 2 weeks of providing synchronous learning opportunities for my students, I asked them for an anonymous survey, and I just wanted to highlight two of them in particular. I like what we are doing in ELA right now. I think it's better than before in Unit 3. I think it's better because we could discuss with friends, and also maybe when we need help, friends may help us and get more ideas by working together. I also think it's better because it felt like we are working together, like we are in school and looking at the same screen and discussing. Another one was virtual schoolwork is good, but sometimes it was a little hard because if I want to watch something at Edpuzzle, we need to ask a partner, so we're not free to do so. But except for that, everything is good. Like we can share our idea easily. Also, we can get some help from others in that group. Moreover, we don't have to make uncompleted work. So these responses show you how synchronous learning is really a positive experience for many of my students. What they said, they just had the connection. Learning was more accessible and comprehensible, and they felt more successful as learners online. Because my school is in Asia, we closed down earlier than the schools in North America, and so I asked my students around March and April. I said, "Hey, what would you tell the teachers in America as they're slowly going on to, or quickly going on to, online for virtual learning experiences?" And they said this. These are some of the responses, and I just want to highlight a few of them. So here, you need to create Google Meet and put all things in Google Drive and put everything in order to make it fun. I think a great method to learn is in virtual is to have students in groups so they can interact with each other. I think they have to do Google Meet or do other meeting and also have a website, and give students like specialists in math. Make sure to have lots of meetings to help kids. I will tell them that they should have a meeting like us. I want to share with you two resources that I thought were really helpful. One is by Kaplan Tucker about blended learning, and the other one is a distance learning playbook by Douglas Fisher, Nancy Frey, and John Hattie. Both are fantastic and both provide different ideas on how to support kids. This is less on distance learning, but this is definitely on distance learning. But this is fantastic about thinking about how can I create more of a flipped learning experience for students. I'm going to leave you with a few more resources. This is an article that I wrote called The 5 Structures of Virtual School. This is what my school has been doing. And I also did a podcast episode on it as well. Another podcast episode was thinking about the 4 buckets of virtual school tech. And I talked about how we need to not just think about what are the technologies, apps that we're going to be using, instead of saying, what are the buckets that I need to use in my class, like content, create, collaborate, and curate? Oh, so then what are the technology apps that enable me to do these? Another one is I actually got to interview Caitlin Tucker about working synchronously and using video conferences. And I also got to interview Dr. Douglas Fisher about his co-authored book on distance learning. Lastly, you can also look at Beth Skelton and Dr. Mia Allen's article for Colorín Colorado on thinking about offline learning at home. Lastly, this is a video I just saw a few days ago, and it's about how to approach the fall semester, or how to think about Zoom Flex, or thinking about making learning synchronous for kids. And I thought this is a really well documented and well structured approach to learning, and I wanted to share it with you. Let's end our time together by doing 3 reflection questions. I'm going to put you into breakout groups, or the moderator is going to put you into breakout groups, and you're going to answer these questions as a team. It's called traffic light teaching. It's a metaphor that I always use to end my podcast with. From this webinar, what is something that you will stop doing? That's a red light. A yellow light is, from this webinar, what is something that you will slow down or start to question about your practice? And a green light, from this webinar, what is something that you will do more in your practice? Let's pause the video. Moderator, please give the teachers 5 to 6 minutes to have a conversation, and then let's bring them back when you're ready. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to work with you and collaborate with you and present. I hope this was helpful. I hope that as I gave you my McCafe, that you were able to say, oh, I can make my Starbucks out of this. I'd like to ask if you could take time to just to scan this QR code or click on this link to complete an anonymous survey to help me figure out how can I better facilitate sessions like this in the future. I know your state has gone through a lot, but I know that New Yorkers are incredibly resilient people. So I wish you all the best as you continue to serve your kids. My prayer for the end of everything I do is that may this serve kids I will never meet. So may this serve your kids in New York who I never meet, and I know that they're in really good hands. Wishing you all the best.